is Mark and Charity Mornings.
Mark and Charity Coffee Podcast for Wednesday, October 13th. A lot going on in the next 15 minutes. We call it the Coffee Podcast because it'll last about 15 minutes, about the length of a coffee break. Broadcasting from the 95.5 Hits FM studio, Belleville, Ontario, Canada. Quinte region of Eastern Ontario, where a lot is going on, including the American border is going to be open to Canadians shortly.
Oh, my goodness.
We'll talk about that, how much of the pandemic has cost us our friendships. But first...
Yeah, we got to talk about this first.
A 90-year-old man is going to space today.
Yeah,
and at
lunchtime.
Time of broadcast, it's about
10 a.m.
Half an hour. So by the time you hear this, it will have already happened. But it's only 11 minutes. It's remarkable to me that William Shatner, who is going to space at the age of 90, will become the oldest man to slip the bonds of gravity. And it will take 11 minutes to go 65 miles up, float for 3 minutes, 65 miles down in 11 minutes.
11 minutes.
Technologically remarkable.
You didn't watch the other launch, did you?
I did not.
When Jeff Bezos went in the, I guess it was July. Was it July?
Right.
With the Blue Origin.
And then...
It was very interesting. It's very quick though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they go up, but they have mics. So you hear them talking and they do checks through the whole thing, checking in with them. So they talk back. Some think that Shatner is going to do quotes from Star Trek because he's taking Leonard Nimoy's ears up with him.
Spock
not
ears.
the actual ears, but Spock ears with him.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting to hear what he says too, I think, during that 11 minutes when they're floating and when.
And by the time you hear this, it'll be over, so it'll be great. You'll know exactly what it was. Mm-hmm. But I think it is remarkable, and would you do it? Would you do it? That's the question. I don't know how expensive it is. I would not.
I don't.
I have a hard time.
I have the feeling Shatner's not paying for it.
Oh, that one I know. That one I can almost guarantee.
He's just doing it because it would make it because it's William Shatner,
right?
It's Captain Kirk, and
they
it would make him.
They can't pay for this
exactly
kind of coverage.
This coverage. It would make him the oldest person to ever go into space. So of course they're going to do it.
Kirk. I couldn't take outdoor elevators. I don't like glass elevators. So the CN Tower is like 65 miles into space.
So you would spend 11 minutes just looking at the center of the pod itself. You wouldn't look out the window and...
I would spend 11 minutes standing on the ground waiting for my wife to come back because I think she would do it.
Because they're all window seats.
Yeah.
They all sit right by. They all sit. But I say that because the ship itself is very interesting looking, but where they sit... It is a dome, so it's everywhere you look, you can get the panoramic
it's like
view.
Drop zone. Everywhere it is, you're all just looking around.
And you're right. Of course, if you're going to do it, you want that kind of view.
Is it
but
cheaper
Kathy
if I have the inside of the pod? Is it cheaper if I have an inside cabin? No, not in space. That's not what you want to do. But,
I don't think that I would do it either. Nothing about space and not that it doesn't intrigue me. Of course, I'm interested in it, but there's no part of me that has that desire to leave the Earth.
I'm not that much of an explorer. I trust that a lot of things that have been found on the planet are already there. I don't need to go see them, like the top of a mountain. I don't have to go find it.
I would like to climb.
I believe that Mount Everest is high, and enough people have perished trying to get there. I trust you. It's there.
Again, it's the fact that I could. And again, I'm going against myself because I jumped out of a plane.
Yeah.
But climbing a mountain for the potential of an Everest specifically of dying.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
And people who are extremely good at it have perished.
Yeah.
Who am I?
But I jumped out of a plane, so that's close enough.
A perfectly good airplane, and paid for the pleasure of doing it.
It was wonderful.
But welcome back. But it was a big day today for William Shatner and for all of us.
And speaking about crossing boundaries and traveling again, we're going to be able to do that south of the border next month. Fingers crossed, everything continues.
Again, by the time that this podcast airs, we'll know what the date is.
Hopefully, yes, the specific date. I have a feeling it's going to be the Wednesday before the American Thanksgiving.
I think it'll be sooner, but I love your cynicism.
Mm-hmm. Because, and I mentioned this morning during the show, of course it's going to be next month because they realized last year that we didn't cross the border to do any shopping.
Right, that's part of it.
So it'll be in time for Black Friday.
But that's a fraction compared to snowbirds.
And that's the other part of it. Snowbirds will be able to return if they're fully vaccinated to traveling into the States.
I think the very, very silent to us in the media but very loud to the government in the United States was the tourism industry.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure that they wanted to get Disney World complaining or the Florida Condo Association flipping off online about empty condos and everything else that went with that. And I think they sucked it up in 2020.
Yeah.
And then they said, okay, we'll go through it in 2021. And I think they put their foot down and said 2022, they got to come back. Because you can't survive real estate and everything that goes with it.
And that's a big one. Florida's a big one. The southern states are a big one for snowbirds. Huge. But think about how many travel across the country in general. Now, flights you could still go down, but for people crossing the border, the land border, that's a big chunk.
Yep.
A big chunk of change for them.
Places like Arizona are big.
Yeah.
I mean, Vegas is always going to be busy. LA is always going to be busy. New York. But there are specific communities within those pockets that in the wintertime, maybe 75, 80% of them are Americans from Chicago, New York, because we heard about it in the pandemic that the stats came out that said that the worst part in Florida were actually New Yorkers. And then they left. Yeah. And they thought that it would all get cleared up, but that again, they didn't know what COVID was going to do at that time. So they said, well, we don't need Canadians. We got enough Northern. Well, 80% isn't good enough. They need that 20, 30%. And I've talked to enough snowbirds up here that when you go down there, all they see are Canadians. Yep. So there are some neighborhoods and pockets in communities.
There are, communities, as you said, of Canadians.
Grocery stores, golf courses, restaurants in those neighborhoods, empty. Can't have it. So provided it's safe, and they're going to do everything to make it safe, but there was no way as we were getting into November that they would say, open that thing up. Let them down here. Cruise ships, Disney World, as long as we're all safe.
I've been scratching my head since August, though, because Americans have been able to travel here, land, across the border, even though their numbers were incredibly larger than ours, and they could come here and we were okay with it. But yet for some reason, Canadians, and for the most part in many parts of Canada, we've been able to keep our numbers down and we continue to do what we need to do, but we can't go there.
Right.
And that a lot of people, and myself included, were like, what?
It's backwards.
And on the flip side of that too, we could fly there. So put us in a plane with like 50 other people in this enclosed spot. We could fly to Florida, but we couldn't drive there.
Right.
It just didn't make any sense.
And then when you came back, then you had to quarantine and the whole thing. So apparently it's just going to start getting cleared up. But take the breath to say it should work because, again, and I've said all along, I want to believe the science on it. Yep. They said be double vaccinated, wear a mask when you're in crowds, still wash your hands, and you should be fine. And the science seems to indicate that other than the occasional case, for the most part, that's true. So I believe that this should work. We should, and I hate using the word, we should be allowed to do it. But we always say if we did this, it'll work. And it seems to be working. So let's open it up and let's, not test case, let's get back to life. Understanding it's going to be with us for a while. Yeah.
I think it's foolish to think it won't.
We double vax, we wear a mask, we wash our hands. And that has shown that cases go down. So I fully believe that
and the
that
severity
will be the
of the
case.
cases too.
That's not to say I'm going across the border this winter because I'm not going to travel down there because as you've said,
you know what, I would.
I don't really trust down there.
Certain areas I would travel to.
Would
I go to
skiing?
Florida? No.
No.
Would I go to New York to go skiing?
Vermont?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, I would.
That I get because they can control it. But wide open spaces, whole bunch of people in warmer weather again, where historically based on numbers, it's not gone well. No, I'll pass this winter. Thank you.
And I would continue to take the necessary precautions. Yeah. Absolutely. Because I know they don't view it quite the same in certain areas of the States as we do here.
Here's a loaded question. Do you fear if you went there? No, this is just how you feel. It's a how you feel. It's an ask me anything portion on the podcast with Charity Brown. Okay. No, if you were over there, because we see videos all the time, and you were wearing your mask and somebody mocked you for it, how would you react? Because that's never happened here. I've never seen a video of it ever happening here.
If they mocked me for wearing a mask?
Yeah, you were in a grocery store and somebody said, oh, look at the Canadian sheep wearing a mask. We don't do it.
I would probably give them a wave and continue on.
Yeah. It's a Canadian response.
It's a Canadian response, but personally, I don't. If they want to mock me for trying to keep myself safe and them, because I'm wearing the mask to keep my germs from infecting you, if they want to mock me for that, fine. It's your choice, just like wearing this mask is my choice. So you're the one who, to me, you're the one who looks out of place.
That answer hasn't worked yet on these videos.
No, it hasn't. But
it's just how you would feel. Like
I don't feel you can really argue with people like that either.
Yeah. I do not want to not go to the United States because I fear being mocked for wearing a mask. That's not what I'm asking.
Okay, that's not.
But there's a whole cultural difference of going down there when they're not there and seeing signs and the protests and everything. That's a little unsettling for me, especially in those hot areas.
And again, I think it's the hot areas. Yeah. I would not go to a hot area. I would avoid those areas. But there is the excitement of being able to go.
For sure.
We were in Gananoque this summer with the kids, and to see the border.
So close.
We were so close. So close. But it was like a ghost town. Like there was nobody, because you see the lineups of cars going, and there was traffic coming into Canada. But going down it was like, oh my gosh, I've never seen this. Like there's usually a lineup of cars going over the bridge, and there was nothing. And we went up in the tower and we were looking at the border, and it was clear. There was nobody coming.
Yeah,
it was a very eerie feeling. It's very interesting to see that. So the news that they're going to reopen, there is that part of me that's excited to be able to have the choice of traveling south again.
And just to see what that's like, socially, because it's going to be a bit of a curve.
Absolutely.
I mean, I hope not. I hope I'm exaggerating it, and I hope it's only in my head.
But I think that's the responsible thought, that there's going to be a curve, instead of thinking, okay, we're back to normal. We can just go do whatever we want now. I think the responsible thing is to be, no, it's not going to be the same. We got to curve. We got to go with the flow, so to speak. We got to see how this is going to pan out. And
if you're a snowbird listening to the podcast here out of Belleville or whatever, our prize line, you can text us anytime, 613-962-0955. Put that number in your phone right now, 613-962-0955. If you go to Florida for a few months, I want you to constantly text us differences now versus 2-3 years ago, and whether there are any, or whether it's an entirely different experience being down there.
Well, and I wonder how many will actually go.
Yeah.
Some did go last year.
Yeah.
If they could. But I wonder how many will go now that a year has passed and we've seen other things arise and things change. If they feel comfortable going now. Well, we should put that up on the radio show too. I wonder how that will go. Okay, we'll talk about that tomorrow. And we will. We'll get that up to how many going, because internet sites are going to crash today. FloridaCondos.com, like something, right? For Airbnb. For December through March. Where can I rent? Let's go. We could go. We could get some sunshine. And then are they going to try and recoup the losses from 2 years by charging you $4,000 a month where it was normally $1,800? We've seen it other places. Yeah. We've seen it across the board, the gouging and now that things are opening up. Well, but you're going to have to pay this to do it. Yeah. So thanks for that. So here we go. But it's going to open. Yeah. And you do have to be double vaxxed to do it. It's not just that you can go across, but there, as you pointed out, there will be things in place. AstraZeneca is a big one. People are asking, and if you've gotten the mixed vaccine, it sounds like they're going to, because AstraZeneca isn't available. It hasn't been approved in the States, but it sounds like they are going to accept that if you had the AstraZeneca, if you had different vaccines for your doses, that too will be accepted. So that's good news. That'll be confirmed today, but yeah. So lots of that. So coming up on the show tomorrow, we'll talk about, now that we know the date, and that's going to be coming up tomorrow. Also is our Throwback Thursday. So we had a little bit of fun today. Our theme is everything old is new again. So we're playing the older versions of these songs, and Team Charity's off and running. Billy Joe Armstrong of Green Day, he and his two sons got together to redo Tiffany. While they were in quarantine. Yeah, he thought he'd give it a try. And you and I both commented, because there's video of them recording the song. And Billy Joe Armstrong is almost 50. But if you look at him, he hasn't aged a day since Green Day first came on the scene. He still looks like a 20-something punk rocker. And then he's got these two grown boys, his sons, playing with him. It's like, how do you have kids that old? They look as old as he does. I was going to say, they look like triplets. Yeah, they do. But here's his version along with the Tiffany clip. Tiffany. Fresh off a mall tour. performing in a mall.
In a mall.
Yeah, love them. Love both versions.
Yep. Foo Fighters redid the Bee Gees' You Should Be Dancing, which is almost note for note because Dave Grohl is so talented.
Oh, amazing.
And so amazing how this is in key and everything that they go from the Foo Fighters into the Bee Gees. T-Mark's going up with this one. Ready for it? Here it comes. Foo Fighters into the Bee Gees.
It is almost seamless. Listening to it now, though, I don't know. Foo Fighters sound a little fuller. There's a little more depth to it, but it's amazing how Dave Grohl is incredible.
They pay tribute to it, and it's so good. So get on our socials and vote for Team Market Team Charity winning song tomorrow morning after the 8 o'clock news on our Throwback Thursday, brought to you by Burger Revolution, where flavor is freedom. BurgerRevolution.ca. What you got going on today? Wednesday, got much going on?
I really don't know. I can't believe it's Wednesday already. I came out of the turkey coma finally. So I feel like maybe I should do some stuff today.
Look at all this stuff going on.
I know. It's like I woke up and it's like, I better get going.
Yeah.
So I don't know. How about you?
I don't really know. I think I have kind of a quiet day. I'll go.
Wednesdays, it's cloudy and kind of dreary here in the area today. So it may be a good day to Netflix and chill maybe this afternoon.
That'll be the day. Everybody share the podcast if you like it. Let your friends know about it. And wherever you get your favorite podcast, sign up. We have it for you every weekday between Monday through Friday at about 11 o'clock in the morning. 15 to 20 minutes of the Mark and Charity Coffee Podcast. Broadcasting in Belleville, Ontario, Canada. Have a great day.